Did you learn anything?
Yes.
Share, exactly. Well, for those who were here last night, you learned that Noah Baum knows how to connect with adults, right? Anybody here last night? Okay. Well, Noah's mission on earth is to bring peace. And how do you get to peace? Through compassion. How do you get to compassion? Through understanding. And how do you get to understanding? Through openness of heart. Well, we learn when we're very young to be open or to be closed. And understanding that, Noah wrote a children's book. It's a picture book. And it's called How the Birds Became Friends. And actually, if you would like to buy this book, she'll meet you after the session out in the lobby. But she's only got 2 of them. So you gotta run out there. And this is a book that shows children the power of kindness. And now I'd like to show you the power of Noah Baum.
Hello.
Look at you. Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I grew up in a country that is not the United States of America. Raise your hand if you grew up in a country that is not the United States of America. Where did you grow up?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Where did you grow up?
India.
In India. Where did you grow up?
India.
In India. Anybody else? Yes, where did you grow up?
Near London.
Near London, in the United Kingdom. Well, I grew up in a country called Israel. And the Jewish people in Israel speak a language that is not English. I want to teach you a word in my language. Are you ready to learn a word in a language that is not English?
Yeah.
All right. So in my language, Hebrew, we say shalom.
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 Shalom is an awesome word. It has 3 meanings. It means hello, it means goodbye, and it means peace. And I want to teach you another word in my language. Are you ready to learn another word in a language that is not English?
Yes.
Oh, you are good learners. Aleichem. It's a sound you don't have in English, huh? Aleichem. Aleichem means unto you. And when you put them together, Shalom Aleichem means peace unto you, which is just another way of saying welcome. Shalom Aleichem. You want to give that a try? Shalom Aleichem. Perfect Hebrew. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Oh my goodness, that was perfect. Now, in the country where I grew up, there are also Muslims and Christians that speak Arabic. And in Arabic, you say salam. Can you say that?
Salam.
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 Salam is another awesome word. It means hello. It also means peace. Salam.
Salam.
And here's another word in a language that is not English and not Hebrew, in Arabic. Listen. Alaikum.
Alaikum.
It's another sound you don't have in English. Allah. Can you do that?
Ba.
Alaikum.
Alaikum.
Salam alaikum means peace unto you, which is just another way of saying welcome. Salam alaikum. Give that one a try.
Salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Oh my goodness, this is like two languages together. Here we go. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Salam Aleikum.
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Salam Aleikum.
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Salam Aleikum.
Shalom Aleichem.
I wonder if you could hear how similar these two languages are. Shalom, salam, aleichem, aleikum. Raise your hand if you could hear that. That is because you are such awesome listeners. These two languages are so similar. These two people live on the same piece of land, but alas, for the last 100 and more years, there has not been peace in my country. When I was your age, I grew up with a lot of wars, a lot of fear. And I grew up dreaming and hoping and praying for peace. And when I grew up, I discovered that it's not just children, but adults too are all hoping and praying and longing for peace. And then I became a storyteller, and I discovered that it's not just children and adults in my country, but people in every single culture on this planet, in every single religion, in every single nation, since the beginning of time, have been hoping and praying and dreaming of peace, and have been telling stories about what we need to do, the choices that we need to make in order to have peace. And so I started collecting a lot of those stories, and I'd like to share one of those with you today. Would you like to hear a story that comes from a far, far, far away land?
Yes.
Of course you would. This is the story of how the birds became friends, and it comes from the faraway country of Myanmar, which used to be called Burma in the Far East. Imagine, long ago in the beginning of time, when the world was very, very young, the birds did not get along. Can you imagine? The birds did not get along. They were always fighting who was better. If Peacock was just strutting down the road and there comes Robin towards him, he'd say, "Move out of the way. I am a much better bird than you." But Robin would jab right back, "No way, no way, no way! I am a much better bird than you! How dare 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 you!" And before you know it, they're at each other. Beaks pecking, feathers flying, squawks and screeches everywhere. And it wasn't just Peacock and Robin, it was every single bird that you could imagine. I bet you know a lot of birds. Could you raise your hand and give me ideas of some birds that you know? Yes? Robin? You with the glasses?
Bluebird.
Bluebird? Turkey? Could you speak up? Chickadee? Owl? Yes? Blue jay? Woodpecker? Falcon? Oh, you guys know so many birds. Yes?
Eagle.
Eagle? Peacock? Parakeet? Umbrella bird? Never heard of that one. That sounds really interesting. One more. Crow, all of these and more. The owl and the woodpecker, the pigeon and the swallow, the sparrow, the blue jay, the magpie, the goose, the falcon. They were always at each other. I'm a better bird than you. I'm a better bird than you. I'm a better bird. Birds everywhere with beaks, pecking, feathers flying, squawks and screeches everywhere. The world was a very noisy place. There was one bird that you may have never heard of because, see, she's so small and so shy and so quiet. Quail. Quail cannot fly very high. She lives among the tall grasses and on low branches of trees, and Quail was so tired of all the noise. She was so tired of all the beaks pecking and the feathers flying and the squawks and the screeches everywhere. She was so tired of everyone fighting. She decided she was going to do something to stop it. But what? She was just small. And there were so many and so loud. But one day she saw her chance. Dark feathered crow landed right near Quail's tree, and Crow opened up her beak. I'm a better bird than you are, as was the custom. When Quail said, Hi, Crow. Yes, I think you're a much better bird than I. No. You are a much better bird than I. Thank you. I think your black feathers are so shiny and pretty. No. Your feathers are shiny and pretty. Thank you. Would you like to stay and play and talk? No one had ever asked Crow to stay and play or talk. Why not? So she did. And Crow and Quail spent the entire day together. They told stories, and they talked, and they played hide-and-go-seek, and they played tag of war, and they had a race around the tree. They had such a good time. When the sun set, Crow said, Hey, Quail, that was the best day ever. And Quail said, Yes, I quite enjoyed it too. Hey, Crow, you know, I only live on the low branches of the tree, and there's so much room on the top. Would you like to stay and share my tree? Why not? So Crow and Quail started sharing the tree. Crow lived on the tall branches. Quail lived on the lower ones, and they helped each other, and they took care of each other. When Crow would fly out to look for food, Quail would guard their tree, and Crow always remembered to bring something good for Quail to eat. And when it was Quail's turn to go look for food, Crow would guard their tree, and Quail always remembered to bring a tasty morsel for Crow. Meanwhile, all the other birds noticed Quail and Crow are sharing a tree. And there's no beaks pecking, no feathers flying, no squawks and screeches anywhere. Woodpecker said, Becca, I unusual. Unusual bird behavior. And Peacock said, highly unacceptable bird behavior. Something must be done. Magpie said, hey, I can get it all worked out. I'll make them fight. I can make anyone fight in no time at all. I'll get them to be normal birds. You watch, you watch, you watch. The next day, Magpie flew close to Crow and Quail's tree. It was Quail's turn to be away, and there was Crow sunning herself up on the tall branches of the tree, and Magpie came close and said, hey, hey, Crow, Crow. How come you live with that ugly, cannot even fly high quail? Crow frowned. Don't you talk like that about Quail. She's beautiful and kind. I am proud to share the tree with her. She's my friend. You're what? My friend. Well, that was a word that had never been heard in the world before. Remember, I told you the world was very, very young. But Magpie flew back to the other birds and said, don't worry about it. That was just a little glitch. I'll get them to fight. I'll get them to fight in no time at all. You watch, you watch, you watch. Next day, he flew again to Crow and Quail's tree. This time Crow was away, and there was Quail in the lower branches. And Magpie flew close and said, Quail, 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 Quail. How come you live with that ugly, cannot even sing crow? Quail frowned. Don't you talk like that about Crow. She's beautiful and kind. I'm proud to share the tree with her. She's my friend. You're what? My friend. Don't you speak hurtful words about my friend or anyone. Magpie was speechless. And all the birds heard. And they were all speechless. And for the first time in the history of the world, it became very, very quiet. So quiet that for the first time in the history of the world, the birds actually heard the sound of the wind rustling among the leaves of the trees. Could you help me make the sound of the gentle breeze among the leaves? Yeah. And they heard the bees buzzing. Can you help me make that sound? Yeah. And they also heard the crickets chirping. It was so new and so beautiful that no one dared make a sound, and they just listened. Until, after a while, I believe it was Owl that managed to say, ooh, 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 why can't we be like Quail and Crow? And Peacock said, it is rather nice without all the fighting. I suppose we could try this, what was that word? Friends thing. And so they did. And they say that that was the day that friendship began among the birds. They say that that was the day that peace and respect came into the world. Imagine. All because one little one decided she was going to be brave enough to be kind. Even one small act can change the world. Imagine. When I was a little girl, I used to like to complain. Raise your hand if you like to complain. Can you make some sounds that you make when you complain? Yeah. I was a little better than you. Mine was, can you do that one? I knew you had it I knew you had it in you. I knew you had it in you. Well, I want to tell you a story. Whenever I would complain, my grandmother would say that I should stop, because it could always be like the one with the rabbi and the goat. My grandmother was the worst storyteller on the face of the planet. She never told the stories. She just referred to them like they were somebody in the next room. But I want to tell you the story about the rabbi and the goat, and I'm going to need your help for it. So, for example, in my story, there's the sound of a baby crying. So when I put my hand up, I'll need you to make that sound. And when I put my hand down, I'll need you to stop making the sound so I can continue telling the stories. Otherwise, we'll be here all day and we'll never get to hear the beautiful music. Okay? Let's hear the sound of a baby crying. That was good, but that was such a polite baby. I could tell you're from the South. You're so polite. I'm talking about a really miserable baby. And in my story, there is a sound of an old grandmother and a mother complaining. Now, in my Eastern European culture, the way we complain is we say the word oi. Can you say oi?
Oi, oi,
Okay,
oi.
but you gotta say it with all your heart, like the world is about to end. Oi.
Oi,
Okay. Oi.
oi,
Oi.
oi,
Oi.
oi.
I think we're ready. Long ago in Eastern Europe, in a small town, there was a man. His name was Moishe. What was his name?
Moisha,
What was his name?
Moisha.
And Moishe was so poor. He lived in one room, just a one-room house. And in that one room, he had his wife, his 5 children, and his mother-in-law. That's just for the moms and the dads. It was so crowded in that room. The children were always fighting. The baby was always crying. And the wife and the old grandmother were always complaining. Oi, oi, oi. And especially in the winter when the snow was piling up high, the children couldn't go out to play. It was even worse. You couldn't breathe, and Moishe was miserable. He needed help. Now, where does one go to get help? One goes to the rabbi. The rabbi is like the priest. He's the spiritual leader of the village, and the rabbi knows everything. So Moishe ran to the rabbi and he said, "Rabbi, help me, save me. The house, it's so small. I live with my wife, the 5 children, and the mother-in-law. Rabbi, please. It's so crowded, I cannot breathe. It couldn't be worse. Help me. Save me. Tell me what to do." And the rabbi, he nodded his big wise head. Can you all nod your big wise heads? And he stroked his long white beard. I bet you got one like that too. Here we go. And he said, "I think I can help you, Moishe. But you gotta make a promise, Moshe. You gotta promise me with all your heart that no matter what I tell you to do, you will ask no questions. Yes, Rabbi, no questions. Good, Moshe. Moshe, tell me, do you have some chickens? Yes, Rabbi. A goose. Yes, I have 2 chickens, a rooster and a goose. Good. Moshe, I want you to go home. I want you to take the chickens and the rooster and the goose and bring them into the house with you. Rabbi, the chickens and the rooster and the... Moshe, no questions. Yes, Rabbi. Moshe went home. He thought perhaps the rabbi's gone a little cuckoo in the head. But what could he do? He made a promise. And so he opened up the shed, he took out the chickens and the rooster and the goose, and he brought them into that little house. And what can I tell you, my friends? Life became worse. Because now, the chickens were everywhere. There were feathers in people's face and in their hair. And when Moshe went to bed at night, he sat down and he heard...
Oh.
And there was egg yolk oozing through his fingers. And if that wasn't enough, why, there was the noise, because the chickens, they were clucking night and day. Can I hear your chickens? And the goose was honking. And the rooster was crowing. And the baby was crying. And the wife and the old grandmother said, Oi, oi, oi. Oi, Moshe couldn't sleep at all. He needed help. This couldn't be worse. He ran to the rabbi the next day. He said, Rabbi, my house, it's like a barn. There's feathers everywhere. There's eggs between the sheets and the noise. Oi, the noise. It couldn't be worse. Save me, please. Tell me what to do. And the rabbi, he nodded his big wise head. And he stroked his long white beard, and he said, I think I can help you, Moshe. Tell me, Moshe, do you happen to have a cow? She's brown. Good. I want you to take the brown cow and bring her into the house with you. The cow, Rabbi? No questions, Moshe. Yes, Rabbi. Moshe went home wondering what is wrong with this rabbi. He took out the cow, he brought her into the house, and what can I tell you, my friends, that cow took up all the space. Anyone trying to get to the stove, the cow switched her tail, knocked the poor woman, the poor wife, on her cheek, and then she switched her tail the other way. She knocked the porridge off the stove. It went flying to the ceiling and then dropped into everybody's hair. And if that wasn't enough, I'm sorry to say in this mixed company, but the cow had no manners whatsoever. That she actually, she pooped in the middle of the room.
Oh.
Can you imagine the smell? Oi! And the noise, because the cow was mooing. And the chickens were clucking. And the goose was honking. And the rooster was crowing. And the baby was crying. And the wife and the old grandmother said, You guys are awesome. And poor Moshe, he couldn't take it anymore. He needed help. Where does one go to get help? He goes to the rabbi. He came rushing into the rabbis. He said, Rabbi, my house is like a stable. The cow is taking up all the space. The cow has no manners whatsoever, Rabbi. And the smell and the noise, it couldn't be worse. Help me, tell me what to do. And the rabbi, He nodded his big wise head, and he stroked his long white beard, and he said, I think I can help you, Moshe. Tell me. Moshe, 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 do you have a goat? Not the goat, Rabbi. The goat, Moshe, I want you to take the goat and bring her into the house with you. But what could Moshe do? He gave his word. He went home the long way. And when he could no longer stay out into the cold, he opened that shed and he took out that goat and he brought her into that room. And I don't know what you know about goats. They are not picky eaters. That goat was munching and chewing on anything in sight. Blankets and sweaters and slippers and pillowcases and chairs and tables. And when it wasn't chewing and munching, it was butting and it was kicking and it was adding to the noise. The goat was bleating. Meh, meh, meh. And the cow was mooing. And the chickens were clucking. And the goose was honking, and the rooster was crowing, and the baby was crying. And the wife and the old grandmother said, Oi, oi, oi. Well, Moshe didn't even wait for the sun to rise. He came tumbling into the rabbi's room and he said, Rabbi, this is the end of the world. No human being should be expected to live like this. And the rabbi said, Moshe, you're absolutely right. No human being should ever be expected to live like this. I want you to go home, Moshe. I want you to take the goat and the cow and the rooster and the chickens and the goose out of the house. Yes, Rabbi. And Moshe ran home and he took all the creatures out of the house, and he put all the animals back in the shed. And that night, everyone slept, even the baby. And in the morning, Moshe came to the rabbi, his face beaming with joy, and he said, Rabbi, I came to thank you. You saved my life. The house is so clean, so roomy, so quiet. Thank you, Rabbi. 1,001 thank yous. And they say that from that day to this, Moshe lives in a one-room house with his wife, his 5 children, and his mother-in-law. But whenever things get rough, he's known to say, it could always be worse.